My name is Freddy Boyd, and I'm gonna tell the story about Cathay Williams. Cathay she was born in Independence, Missouri, which that will be important later. Independence is a very apt word for what's happening in this story. So she was born to parents, like most of us were, and her mom was a slave and her dad was a free man. But even if you mix them, you're still a slave, because that's how fucked up it was back then. It's still fucked up, but it was worse back then. And so she was a slave, and she was working right outside of Jefferson City. And so, so the Civil War happened, and they came in and they took over Jefferson City, and then they saw all the slaves and they're, hey, you guys, guess what? You're contraband, which I don't think anybody should be called contraband. It sounds bad, but contraband is like drug paraphernalia. Back then, it was just like stuff we can take from the enemy, from the enemy. That's useful. So like weapons, but slaves were counted as contraband. So she was taken, and she was like, okay, cool. The Union has taken me. Like everybody's like, okay, we're gonna be free. You think after Civil War, you think when the Union comes in, you're gonna be free, but it doesn't exactly mean that. So they were all conscribed to like help with the military effort. So like they were free, quotes. I couldn't do the whole quotes because I have this in my hand. So they came and they took all the slaves as contraband. So they're free, but not really free. And so they make them work. The Civil War is happening. This is the beginning of the Civil War. So they're making everybody come in. They're making all the black people, especially the women, work as cleaners and cooks and nurses. And so she's like, cool, I'm gonna do this. Like, it's better than being a slave, but not much better. So then she goes in and she thinks to herself, she's done with that. Civil War is over. She's like, man, how is everybody making money? I'm by myself. I want to work for myself. So she goes and she enlists in the U.S. military. Now, what you don't understand about U.S. military now, there are no women allowed, no girls allowed. It's just like little rascals. And so she goes and she applies for U.S. military. And she says, she doesn't say anything. She just goes in and she's confident. And she's 5'9", and everybody else in this day and time is like 5'7" or lower. They're little, and she's big, and they're like, of course we want you. You're great. So she goes into the military, and she's part of, I think it's the 38th. At 38th or 28th. It's one of the infantries. It's one of the all-black infantries. It's one of the ones that, like, they're just like, they're going, the war is over, but like there's still military work to be done. So they are keeping like the frontier safe. Like the West is still wild and everybody needs to be taken care of. And so they have these people there. And it's so hard for them. The Buffalo Soldiers were made, they got their name because the wounded buffalo was known as the most scariest animal. If you wounded a buffalo, nobody knows what that motherfucker will do. And so it was the auspice. This is what everybody thought was this is what the Buffalo Soldiers, this is what they did. They took care of miners. They took care of the postal service. They took care of everybody. So she was walking with them. Dude, the Buffalo Soldiers, they were going. They were just going. They were marching. They were marching so much. She marched over 500 miles on foot. They had horses, but they had the worst horses. They had the worst weapons. They had to work with what they had because nobody wanted to give black people anything. Yeah, and so, okay, she's marching, and of course she gets sick, because I don't know, like, it's been speculated she couldn't take showers because, like, she was a woman, and it would be obvious if she took a shower and, like, she has boobies. Okay, this is the worst fucking part. She has 5 medical checkups. 5 checkups. Nobody knows that she's a woman. She does not get discharged for being a woman. She gets discharged for being sick. They do not do preliminary checkups on the Buffalo Soldiers. This is fucked up. It doesn't make any sense. They don't, like, it shows you how thorough the checkups were. So nobody knows that she's a woman. Finally, at Fort Baynard, she gets really bad smallpox. She has to be taken off the battlefield, and they're like, oh, she has smallpox. Also, she's a woman. And, like, it blows my mind. So she makes it through this whole time. She goes back to her regiment, and they're really nasty to her because, like, racism is bad, but also sexism is bad. It's the 1800s. And so she comes back. She, like, still does her duty, and they're like, nah. So she has to get out of the military. The most important, like, she didn't join the military as a statement. She joined the military because she was like, men get better opportunities. I'm trying to make that money. And I appreciate that so much. That's so good. Like, she wasn't like, oh, women should be in the military. She was like, no, men make more. I need to be in the military. Because she said, I can't remember the actual quote, but she says, I don't want to be beholden to my family or persons. I just want to make it for myself. And she was like the ultimate self-starter. She was super fucking strong. And you could fucking tell. Because, like, she was sick the whole time. And she was just working and marching. So, anyways, she gets diagnosed and they kick her out of the military. She's sick. And so she has to go. She becomes a cook and stuff. And, like, you know, they didn't know that much about diabetes, but she had diabetes. And she had neuralgia. And I don't know much about neuralgia now.
Neuralgia.
No, it's neuralgia. This is what it said on Wikipedia. She was the first African American woman in the United States military. Apparently, there were a lot of women in the United States military that pulled some Mulan shit. But she was the first black woman that pulled Mulan shit, made it through 2 years, and she was the tallest and the most badass. She was sick, but she was still walking 500 miles. I don't want to go to CVS when I'm sick. Oh, I forgot. Okay, so her name was Cathay Williams, and her incognito name was William Cathay. She was like, they'll never suspect me. If I flip them, they'll never suspect me. I thought that was some bold ass shit. So yeah, that was Cathay Williams. Yeah.